Jeff, the 1950 Open, won by Hogan, gets the most attention, but there was one involving Trevino and Nicklaus that was also equally a great story to tell. Tell us about that.
1971. Trevino started out the year pretty badly. He met Nicklaus in the locker room. I think it was at Doral, but I'm not exactly sure right now. And Nicklaus told him, if you ever realize how good you are, we're going to all put down our sticks. And it really kind of bolstered Trevino, and Trevino went on a real run that year, and gets to the Open, and sees the golf course, and realizes two things. Thing number one is it's short. So for the first time in my career, I'm going to be hitting the same irons in as everybody else, because not everybody can use driver here, but I can. I can use driver on every hole because he was not a big hitter. The second concern of Trevino's was that he couldn't hold greens because his approach shots, even with his short irons, were still more a boring trajectory than an arc. And in fact, 8, which is not a difficult hole at Merion, but goes from front to back, or actually, if you're off the back, it's very difficult to hold any pin positions because of the back to front slope. Twice he was off the back, and twice he bogeyed that hole. Anyway, we get to the playoff. Nicklaus and Trevino have tied, and get to the first tee. And there's the famous story of the snake. Trevino had a little snake in his bag. It wasn't real. It was a rubber snake that his daughter had found at I guess it was the San Antonio Zoo, and had left it in the bag. And earlier in the week, Trevino had used it as a prop when they kind of showed how high the rough was. They put Trevino in a pith helmet, and he had held his snake on his club. And he took out the snake, and Nicklaus said, "Hey, what is that? Throw it over here." And Lee threw the snake over. Everybody's laughing. He's often accused of gamesmanship for that, but it had none of that. Everybody knew the snake was there. And they both laughed. Jack told me, look, I'm never nervous on the first hole, really, but you could see the pictures. Whatever tension there was, this cut it. And the reality is the picture of Jack on the first tee before they hit, as he's sitting down and resting, he was pretty tense. Now, match goes on. Second and third hole, Nicklaus has trouble coming out of bunkers, and he's now 3 strokes behind. They go back and forth a little bit, but Trevino is still concerned about things. They get to the 5th tee. Trevino starts to feel raindrops. They get to the 6th tee. There are more raindrops. The rain's coming down a little more steady. They finish the 6th green. There's a downpour. They have to stop play for a half hour, 40 minutes, because that's how heavy the downpour was. Trevino is sitting there and saying, I just won the Open. Nobody realizes this, but I just won the Open. It's over. I can hold greens now. And he proceeded to hit some brilliant iron shots on holes that he could now stick them. Previously, they were running. Now, they would stick. And the reality is, this year in the Open, if it rains and it's wet, there will be some really low scoring. Because the firm and fast conditions won't be there, the greens will be receptive. In the final of the U.S. Amateur in 2005, Molinari had a phenomenal round. Just because it had rained the night before, he was holding greens, making putts, making birdies. Nobody was doing that in the early part of the week when it was dry. So anyway, Trevino very happily kind of realized this all fell in my lap, and he went on to, win the British Open and have one of the great years in golf.